Alright, welcome back, and in this video we're going to be looking at modelling simultaneous equations. Something that we always do at the end of most topics is we look at modelling, and what that modelling means is just that we're looking at the topic in a real world example. So here's our question. The sum of the ages of two children is 17 and the difference in their ages is 5. If Cara is the older sister of Ben, determine their ages. So simply it just gives us two ideas and asks us to find out what the ages of the two children are. Alright, so there's four things we do when we're modelling simultaneous equations, and they are these four things here. Alright, really it's 4 steps. So first step is to define a variable for each unknown. So let's say Cara equals, we'll just call it K, and Ben equals B. That's pretty straightforward, isn't it? So that's done. Tick. Second step, write down 2 equations from the information given. So this is where we're going to highlight some key information here. It says the sum of the ages of 2 children is 17, and, so that's and means separate information now. The difference is 5. So let's write that down. It looks like this. K plus B is 17. So that's the sum. The sum is adding right here. And the 2 children is Cara and Ben. Alright, so that's the sum of the ages is 17, and the difference in their ages is 5. Now, difference indicates a subtraction, alright, and we're going to say Cara minus Ben equals 5. And the reason we're going to say Cara minus Ben is because after the full stop, the information told us that Cara is the older sister of Ben, which means that she is older than him. Alright, so if we were to have written down Ben minus Cara, that would obviously not be a positive number because Ben is younger than Cara. So younger minus older would be a negative 5. So this is the wrong equation to write down. So you have to make sure you read all the information in the question. Alright, so that's step 2 done. Tick. Next thing we're going to do is solve the equation simultaneously to find the solution. Now this is where you can use any method of solving that we have been taught. So graphical, substitution, or elimination. And you can do whatever you like. Now these 2 equations lend themselves rather nicely to elimination. We could choose to add them, and if we choose to add them, the B values are going to, because one's a negative and one's a positive, these 2 will cancel out. If we choose to subtract the 2 equations, we're going to have K minus K, and the K values will cancel out. So I'll choose to subtract because I've written that in there. So K minus K is 0. B, take away minus B, is 2B. I'll write it over here in case you can't see that in your head. B, take away minus B is 2B because these become a positive. And then 17 take away 5 is 12. Alright, so our simplified equation is 2b equals 12. Divide both sides by 2, and we end up with b equals 6. The next step is to substitute that back into either of the equations to find out what the other variable was. So I'll put it into the first one. So k plus 6 equals 17. We subtract 6 from both sides, and we can see here that k equals, 11. Alright, now, so we've been solved here. That's step 3, and the final step is to interpret the solution and answer the question in words. It's not enough for these ones to have just 2 numbers as our solutions. It has to be answered in words. So we have to say, Ben is 6 years old, and Cara is 11 years old. And this must be done to answer this final step in the 4. You must interpret and answer the question in words. Alright, we have another problem here. This one's slightly more wordy, and we'll just go through and highlight some key information in it. So it says John buys 3 daffodils and 5 petunias from the nursery and pays $25. A different person, Julia, buys 4 daffodils and 3 petunias for $26. And then it asks us to determine the cost for each type of flower. So information in the question is going to help us with this first step here. We want to define a variable. So obviously what we're trying to find is the cost for 2 different types of flowers. So that's going to be our variables. We're going to have D for daffodils and P for petunias. All right, so that's the first step done. Second step is to write down 2 equations from the information given. So let's go with John's information. It says that he buys 3 daffodils and 5 petunias, and he pays $26. All right, now just pause here for a second and have a think to yourself. When we find out what D and P equal, we're actually going to be finding the cost for that flower. So in this equation that I've written here, 3 times whatever the daffodils cost plus 5 times whatever the petunias cost is going to equal is $26. So that's why it's written as it is. All right, so the next equation that we've done here is we're going to do is for Julia, and she buys 4 daffodils and 3 petunias, and she pays $26. Now, I've just realized that John paid $25, so we'll go and erase that and change it to a 5. $25. All right, so those are the 2 equations. We've got John's equation, which we'll call equation 1, and we've got Julia's equation, which we'll call equation 2. All right, so then that's step number 2 completed. Write down 2 equations. The third step is to solve them. All right, so you can see here that there's no easy way to do elimination or substitution. So we're going to have to, what we can do is a sneaky way of doing elimination. We notice that if I multiply this entire equation by 3, sorry, not by 3, by 4, and this entire equation by 3, I'll show you what happens. So if I do this, the top one by 4, I'm going to have 12D plus 20P equals $100. The bottom one is going to be multiplied by 3, and I'm going to get 12D plus 9P equals $78. All right, so now what do we notice? We notice that the 2 D terms both have the same coefficient now, which means that if I subtract the 2 equations, the D's will cancel out or eliminate. So I'm going to put brackets around it to make sure that we remember the minus sign applies to the entire equation, and then we'll do the elimination method. 12D take away 12D is 0, 20 take away 9 is 11P, 100 take away 78 is 22. Now that looks like a nice even number to divide 11, so P, divide both sides by 11, is $2. So each petunia is worth $2. All right, so now we'll plug that back into either of the equations. At this stage, it doesn't really matter which. Let's just choose number 1. So 3D plus 5 bracket 2, because we know that each petunia is worth $2, equals 25. 3D plus 10 equals 25. Move the 10 across as a minus. 3D equals 15. Divide both sides by 3, so therefore D equals 5. So a daffodil is worth $5. So that's step number 3 done. The final step is to interpret the solution and answer the question in words. So I'll just move my work over to there. So we'll have to say in a sentence that daffodils, Mr. Nell, are worth, what were they worth? $5. Petunias are worth, what do we say they were worth? $2. And there is our final answer, put back into words that relate to the question. Final step has been done.